moving from the smaller circle to the larger circle is where most of the trouble shows up, because the horse starts to stiffen out again and maybe lean to the outside or look to the outside when going around, which is quite a normal movement. Even we do it actually when we're walking around a corner. We don't always bend our body to make it around the corner. We kind of sort of lean into it and make the corner. So that's what the horse is used to doing. And it just gets a little bit more difficult for them because they have 4 legs to distribute the weight between instead of 2 like us. And so the hind legs often have a lot of power and will end up pushing too much weight onto the forequarters, and that actually makes it hard to turn, as well as can give different injuries and soundness problems. So we want to teach the horse as much as possible to stay straight as they're on the circle, okay? So it's kind of shaped like the circle, but not overly bent into the circle. There's a kind of a sweet spot where the horse finds his natural balance, where he's not leaning in and not leaning out, but he's stretching forward and downwards towards stretching his top line and relaxing, taking longer steps. So we'll see how she does today. I'm going to send her out. So again, here we're going to work a little bit with personal space. Ask her to step away from us. So keep this in mind. Whoever moves their feet the most between you and the horse is not in charge of the movement. So what I mean by that is, if the horse is making you move your feet a lot, then it's the horse training you and not you training the horse. She has a bit of a fly on her leg. Good. So again, when you start the circle here, she's got a bit of energy. So I want to keep there, good. So every time she takes her head up and too much in, I'm going to take a little bit more contact on the rope. Every time she takes her head, she's got good energy today. Every time she takes her head too much upwards, I'm going to shorten the rope. Like here, she's kind of losing her focus. So I'm going to stop her. There we go. So she's a little fresh, and that's totally normal. That you'll probably experience that with some of your horses. So then I don't want them continuing to go too quickly. You start over, you stop and start over. So here I'm going to send her out again, maintaining my personal space. And what I was saying is, if she comes head up and tries to hollow herself out, then I'm going to take a little contact on the rein, because I don't want the rope here, or the rein, which I call it, to be loose and dangling when she's out there in the wrong position. I want us to stay connected. Again, it's about connection, lightness, and collection is how I train horses. So I want the connection, and then when she lowers her head and relaxes her top line, then I let her out and I give her a little bit more rope. And it becomes slightly slack, but not very slack, because again, I want enough connection for me to be able to correct her quickly if she pops up and loses her position here. So again, I like to start at a walk. I don't like horses that go out straight away and start cantering or trotting around you without you asking for it. They should be calm and listening to it. So that's why if she starts doing that again, I'll shut her down again and yield her hindquarters like you saw me do here. Good, so I didn't ask her for it, so I just immediately shut her down. And we'll ask her back out again. Yeah, no. So it's important to establish this with your horse, so that the horse doesn't just think that they can change speed on you anytime they want, because they're going to do that under saddle as well. So you want them to understand that they should stay relaxed and just walking. And again, I didn't ask for it. Good. Couldn't ask her to come in either. So I just keep this distance between us to keep telling her, stay out there and relax out there. You don't need to go faster and you don't need to come in towards me. Good. And now I'm going to ask her to trot. Good. And here she comes a little head up, so I'm going to take more contact. And if she goes too fast, I'm going to stop her again. It's a little bit of excitement mixed with a loss of balance. So you kind of want to feel what it is you're dealing with. Ask her forward again. Yeah? Good. So also what I can do is bump that rope a little bit. If I get tired of her not listening, I can kind of ask her to not accelerate by bumping that serrata a bit. Here, we'll try again. And when she starts to relax, I'll reward her. Good. Because one thing is that if they start running too quickly, you just can't get them balanced. They have to find the area, the zone, so to speak, to be in the zone where they can relax and stretch their top line. So this one, she's a sensitive horse. So she's got lots of energy and stuff like that. So here again, I'm going to bump her a little bit until she does it correctly. Again, I'm going to bump her a bit. Yeah. And here I keep saying in connection, because if I let go of my connection, then I'm kind of rewarding her for something that I didn't want. So I'm not pulling hard on her, but I am staying with her here to make sure that she is not being let go of in this moment when she's having difficulty figuring out what she should do. So I keep her head all the time to the inside, but I'm trying not to pull on it too much because I don't want her outside shoulder dropping down. See here, she's sped up, so I have to stop her again. Good. So stay in connection, and I'm waiting for her to, instead of pushing so much, to relax her top line and to start to lower her head down straight instead of keeping it up. There, okay? So I just let her get the idea that that was what I was looking for. She just dropped that head, and I kind of let my arm drop down with her and relax down into the correct position. Not dropping my connection, but not pulling her head to the inside anymore, because that's what I call that zone. Being in the zone is that the horse starts to actually straighten out into the movement and not having to have his head turned to the inside or being in too much connection. It's just that she starts to find her balance, and when that hind leg steps up underneath her, that'll make her stretch naturally forward, where she won't be tipping to the inside or to the outside. And if anything, I keep a very, very tiny hold of her nose, just to get her nose sort of in, let's see here if we can get just a little bit of bend, just like a tiny bend like that to the inside, hardly anything at all, because the horse is balanced. So you don't want to mess with that balance by putting too much of a bend in, because that will immediately throw out either a shoulder or a hip or both. So let's try again here. Just because she has a lot of energy, I'm going to leave the whip on the ground. There, that's good. And so now I'm going to build on getting what I got before again, and then making it stay longer until she sticks with it more permanently. So here, the one thing I want to make sure of though is that the head never goes to the outside of the circle, because that's the typical leaning in position. There, good. So now I'm rewarding her, but at the same time I want her to keep moving. If she comes too much in, I kind of use my energy and my rope here, or my whip if I had it, to get her out. There, good girl. So here I just give her a little bit more rope so the circle can get slightly bigger. But then she transitioned trot without permission. And they can also do that if they get a bit either excited or loss of balance. So they start to stretch their top line and they're doing well for a few moments, and then they lose their balance and then they want to run. Which is why it's so important to have connection with your horse all the time. Both here when you're working the lunge and when you're working under saddle when you're riding. There, good girl. I don't want her to stop though. There. I want her to get more and more comfortable walking, moving, with her head forward, down, and no again. So I don't let them transition trot for several steps before I correct them. If I can see that's what's about to happen, then I bounce that rope a little bit. And again here, there's connection between me and the horse. I'm not clenching my hand, I'm not holding on very tightly, but I am holding on. There, good. See right there, I let her head kind of straighten out so that her head was in alignment with her neck and shoulders. And that's really what I want, is that there's not too much bend, or that pieces of her body are not falling out. Like there, she has a tendency to bend a little bit too much. So here, as she comes a little closer to me, I want to take up the contact. I want to take up the slack in the rope. I don't want to reward her for coming in too close to me or for hollowing her back. And you see, the more she walks here and starts to relax her top line, the bigger her steps get. So her gait is improving quality-wise. This is why I like to work my hands like this in the lead rope. Good. To be able to shorten or lengthen the rope quickly, I use both hands. So if I want to shorten the rope, I'll grab the rope with my right hand and then grab a shorter piece with my left hand. Good. Very good. So you're licking and chewing. She's relaxing more and more. So this is just something that I will keep working on until the horse is fully relaxed with her head in a more straight down position. I just want them in a natural position though. They shouldn't be all the way down to the ground or anything, just natural. Good, good, so here. So one way to get the horse to slow down a little bit is like I showed you, I kind of bump that rope a little bit or wiggle it like a snake here. And I just do that with my wrist. And that'll make the horse stop or back up, as you see. Here I'm going to change sides a little bit because I don't want to drill one side too much. Even if you have one side that's more difficult than the other one, don't over drill it. Don't get the horse sick of working on that side. See, there she loses her balance to the outside. And then she wants to just stop and look at you. So it's important that I let her straighten out more and more with her head, neck and shoulders so that they're all in alignment and that one isn't askew from the other one. If she speeds up because she's thinking about it, because she's losing her balance a little bit, I'll bump that rope again and tell her that's not what I'm looking for. And I won't acknowledge her until she starts to do the right thing. There, good girl. There, good girl. See, then, no. Stop again. So it's often a fine balance between her finding her balance and losing her balance again. There, good girl. There, good girl. So now she's getting more confident with it. So then I let her have a little bit of rope. And I just stay enough in connection here. She brings her head up too much. No. I just stay enough in connection that I can correct her like I just did right there. But I want to give her a little bit more rope as a way of rewarding her for doing the right thing and lining up her head, neck and shoulders, rib cage and haunches. That's what I'm looking for. And just maintaining a very tiny bend, not much at all. Just enough to keep the horse balanced and not looking to the outside, and keep the outside moving on a slightly bigger circle than the inside of the horse. There, good. Now she's starting to relax into that. Very good. So if you can't get the movement in relaxation at the walk, you shouldn't move on to the trot, because that'll be even harder. So make sure you have the relaxation first at a standstill, then at a walk, and then at a trot, and then eventually at a canter.